While Clebius was buying time and managed to stop Lucy's rampage, Zix himself was still confused about what he should do now. He realized that there was no more time, he had to make a decision immediately. Zix then called Lortel and was about to say something to her, but, before he could even say something to Lortel, the window beside them standing suddenly broke. They were then surprised to see it. But what made them more surprised was the cause of it. It turned out to be caused by Janica, who just crashed into the window of the room they were in. Janica then fell on Lortel accompanied by the broken glass that surrounded the two of them. When Janica looked at the person she fell on, she was then surprised to find that the person turned out to be Lortel. Lortel was confusedly calling her. Without explaining the situation to her, Janica then shook off the water that was now soaking her body. After observing the room for a moment, she then saw Tanya, who was behind Zix. She was happy to have finally found her. The room suddenly fell silent for a moment amidst the confusion that engulfed the three of them at this time. Lortel felt strange when she saw Janica's face, which still looked normal. She was confused, why she didn't seem to feel anything about the rumors about Ed. She even wondered if she was really going crazy now, but after looking at her carefully, she felt that it was not the case. After looking around towards Zix and Lortel, Janica then hesitantly asked, "Did I miss the mood or something?" Right after that, Marilda then appeared near them. She replied, "No, instead, you appeared at the right time. This is the right time when Ed appeared to stop Lucy." Hearing Clebius, who swore at him, Ed then turned to him and called him, "Is that you, Clebius?" Clebius' condition was really battered at this time until it was difficult to recognize. Hearing that, Clebius said that he realized he really got beaten to a pulp. He knew it was pointless to fight. Even if he risked his life and caused a scene, he wouldn't even reach her toes. He was well aware of that, so, he felt that he should have just run away earlier, but, he cursed, he wondered if he was the only fool here. Despite being too weak to stop it, people still rushed forward to do something, whatever it is, even though no one ordered them. They destroyed what they had worked so hard to build without the slightest hesitation. Amidst the outpouring of heart that Clebius let out, Elvira then ran over to him. Clebius was really confused by such a mindset. Wouldn't it be wiser to just give up and run away? But, even though they were on the verge of death, they still believed that they could be something like heroes. He cursed, "Why the hell don't they just let me run away?" In the end, they didn't win either. Again everything was messed up. All that struggle, still be in vain. Hearing Clebius outpouring, Ed then walked closer to him, and gently held his shoulder. He then thanked Clebius and Elvira. He said that he was indebted to both of them. He also told Clebius that his efforts were not in vain, they were really valuable. When she saw the face of the cloaked person, Elvira then shockingly called him. Clebius was really relieved at this time. He kept muttering, "I'm really just a dumb, useless worm, an idiotic trash bastard, I know. Elvira then shockingly called Clebius when she felt his body suddenly weak, until finally Clebius fell unconscious on her lap. Elvira then felt anxious seeing that. She then immediately told him to get a grip. Seeing that, Ed still couldn't wake up from his shock. Honestly, he was surprised. He really knew the fighting ability of every important character in this academy inside out, but, including himself, he didn't think anyone could do something like this. At least it took about 10 minutes for everyone to be evacuated. In that long time, they managed to survive alone, against the final boss of Act 3, the failed swordsman of Sylvania, the awakened one, Lucy Merrill. Lucy herself was suddenly silent at this time. She didn't move or speak when she saw him. Ed then walked over to her. He apologized to her for not telling her about it. He explained, "An old man really wanted me dead, but I was indeed in a terrible situation where my life was hanging by a thread, so I couldn't prepare for anything in advance. That's why I didn't have the chance to inform you." Hearing that, Lucy didn't say anything, and immediately hugged his body. With a teary face, Lucy said that she thought he was dead. Hearing that, Ed said, "As you can see, I am alive, I am here, in front of you." After saying that, Ed then hugged her back. They continued to hug in the rain that poured down on them while surrounded by the statues of the maids and students who had been petrified. Meanwhile in the corridor of the Alphalus Hall, Zix's worry in his heart peaked at this time. Ever since coming out into civilization, he prided himself on rarely feeling fear, but, seeing the arrival of that high spirit, and Janica, who were both looking for Tanya, make the situation even more difficult. At least that's what Zix thought at the moment. With the news of Ed's death, he felt that the two of them might have lost their minds. Realizing that, Zix then decided, Realizing his attitude, Janica then asked him to wait for a while. She had something to say about Ed, but, before Janica could even say anything, Zix suddenly cast a magic on the wall. Nearby, his magic cast produced a large enough impact that made dust fly. Tanya coughed as a result of the dust generated by his magic. Zix then told her to listen to him carefully. Tanya then immediately put her ears when she heard that, while pointing towards the wall she had hollowed out. Zix then said to her, "Follow this path. When you meet a branching route, take the route to the west. If you keep running as fast as you can, you will reach the end of the building. When you are free from pursuit, look for a place to ask for help. As a descendant of the Roth-Taylor family, you should look for people who have ties to the royal authority or noble families that you know." Hearing that, Tanya then hesitantly asked him, "But, what about you?" While putting up a fighting position, Zix said that he would hold them as long as possible so that they could not chase her. It might be impossible, but, hearing that, Tanya then confusedly asked him, "Why did you go this far?" Zix replied, "I would not do this if you were not Ed's senior sister." He told her to consider herself lucky, and told her to run away from there immediately. Hearing that, Tanya did not ask him anything else, and immediately ran towards the route he had said. Seeing that, Zix exhaled for a moment, then prepared to face the opponent that he himself knew was impossible for him to defeat. He then said to Janica, "If it's like this, whatever I say you won't listen to it. I fully understand those feelings, because I have also been in love with someone." Janica was explaining the real situation to Lortel, but, she was then surprised when she heard Zix's words. Zix continued, "Just imagining losing someone like that, it's unbearably painful, your whole body burns with flames of anger, it's inevitable, because it's someone you love." Janica Sr., you loved Ed Sr. more than anyone else. How earnest and bittersweet your feelings for Ed Sr. were. How could I not know? Zix said that so passionately that it made Janica's face turn red from blushing, but Zix's words did not stop there. Those passionate feelings you had for Ed Sr. will remain in your heart one way or another, becoming a part of you. But, before Zix could continue his words, a fireball suddenly shot out and attacked him. The impact of the fireball was so powerful that it broke through the wall of the Ophelis Hall, and threw him out of the building. One attack from Janica instantly beat Zix and knocked him down. Janica then walked over to him. She beat her staff against his chest and said that he was not dead yet. With a blushing face, Janica once again said that Ed was not dead, he was still alive, so she begged him to stop saying that. Meanwhile, in the garden in front of the Ophelis Hall, under the moonlight that illuminated the night sky, Ed and Lucy were still hugging tightly at this time. Spring water began to fall, washing the petals of the flowers scattered along the roadside, along with the fragrance of garden flowers. After the spring rain washed away, the season began to reveal itself in a new light. Emotions were the same. Lucy then recalled the memories when she had a fever from playing under the rain. After letting go of everything and getting an explanation for it, even a relationship that was once stable could change into a new phase. All this time, Lucy thought that her feelings for Glock were the same as her feelings for Ed, but those overlapping feelings began to change, becoming smooth and attractive. A question then arose, what made it different? As the rain that drenched them slowly stopped, Lucy suddenly let go of her hug and pushed his body away. Ed was then confused by it. Lucy's behavior was completely different and seemed uncharacteristic. Ed could only be confused by it. He then tried to call her, but his call triggered a big reaction in Lucy. Her face turned red after hearing him call her name. It was just a normal call, but her heart felt like it was on fire. Then, Lucy finally realized her true feelings.